What up, everybody, and welcome to the 52 Scott Podcast. You're tuned in to our Black Friday episode. I'm your host, Freddie G, joined by K Money, Slash, and Comedian 96. Collectively, we are the Mind of Men. Don't forget to follow us on X, formerly known as Twitter, at 52 Scott Podcast, on Instagram and Facebook, the 52 Scott Podcast, and for all my YouTubers, don't forget to like and subscribe. And welcome to another Black Friday. Okay, at some point in time, all black folks will get their notification, and age doesn't matter. However, if you get your notification before you become an adult, you may not recognize it. In my opinion, it's the parents' job to prepare their children for the notification. Now, if you get your notification as an adult, it will be wise not to ignore it. Nevertheless, if you choose to do so, that's your prerogative. Now, you may be thinking, what notification? Well, before we dive in, let me put it to you this way. If your phone rings, you're getting a notification that someone is trying to reach you. If there's a fire drill, you're getting a notification to exit the building. If you're driving and you're hearing the siren, you're being notified that there's an emergency or you're being pulled over because you may have violated the law. And finally, if you are asleep and your alarm clock rings, you're being notified that it's time to wake up. Now, let me repeat that. If you are asleep and your alarm clock rings, you're being notified that it's time to wake up. Now, some people, they sleep a little deep and they're in a much deeper sleep, so they don't even hear the alarm clock. And there's others who make a conscious decision to hit the snooze button for more time to sleep. And some people just don't care what time they wake up. Unfortunately, today's show is gonna go over some of y'all head, meaning you won't hear the alarm clock. And some of y'all will choose to ignore today's message, meaning you've chosen to hit the snooze button. Now, before we dive in, let me say this. Unless you have a physical defect, we all have two eyes. However, some of us have developed a third eye. And if you are unaware of your third eye, then you are asleep. Now, for those who don't know, to have a third eye means being deeply aware, not just of your surroundings, but the truth that's hidden beneath the surface, within yourself, in others, and in the world. Now, having a third eye is a metaphor for seeing beyond ordinary perception. So with that being said, fellas, let me ask, why are so many black people asleep, meaning unconscious to what's going on?
Because they don't want the truth. They want the lie.
I'm going to say ignorance.
I'll say they're being complacent and waiting and hoping that a change will come and not do anything about it.
They deny what sometimes they think is unheard of, or it doesn't sound like that could happen, especially when you're dealing with, government. That don't sound like the government would do that. Well, you just fell asleep because they do everything you think they don't. Yeah. And a lot of people are in denial of when they hear certain stuff. They wouldn't do nothing like. I've talked to people like that, and I try to tell them, because my third eye is open, I can see that shit. So I talk to people, and then they'll give me a, well, I don't think they would do nothing like that. Okay, well, you still sleep. You think the government is perfect. You think the system is perfect. You think the system is set up for you to win. It's not. they tell you that, yeah, this is this, but the people that are not listening, I consider that being, not woke. They are still sleeping, because that's mainly where world, the world depends on the government. And if they stunting, you gotta understand that the people stunting. Some people don't like to hear, certain things that we mentioned, or certain things that the government do that they don't do, that sometimes people call it, and let me use this loosely, Illuminati. Certain stuff that's done, people don't think that it actually happens that way. But some of it does when it deals with the government. I'm not saying that there's this superficial ghost town of Illuminati ghosts. That's not what I'm talking about, but I think people are asleep because they don't want to hear certain stuff, and they don't want to do the research to find out the truth, because it's a list of stuff that brings you there.
Yeah, I definitely agree with a lot of what you're saying. Slash, I mentioned ignorant, and that kind of ties with not wanting to know and in denial. I think that was mentioned earlier. Also, they don't think or believe that it would affect them, right. So they're not interested. Don't take interest in wanting to know, even if it is factual or not in regards to what they're being told. Yeah. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with K Money.
I just think they don't want to do the research. Some of them.
Okay, I find that interesting because you guys instantly spoke about the government, and that tells me that that's the number one thing that plagues within you guys. Mm-hmm. And to be fair, and me too,
in America,
that bothers you guys based upon your answers, right? Your response. But here's something that I think our community is asleep on. Each other.
Well, of course.
The community.
It's been that.
It's us in the black community.
Yeah.
That doesn't have anything to do with the government.
It's just black community.
It doesn't have anything to do with the government. We are asleep. Now, K Money, you mentioned a scene from a movie last week, and I think it was on Slash's Black Friday show, because both of y'all actually, to be honest with you, you and K Money Slash was inspiration for today's topic.
Okay.
You guys were inspiration for today's topic because both of y'all said something during your Black Friday show, Slash, but y'all didn't elaborate. But y'all it was within context,
right?
But y'all used the word woke.
Oh yeah.
Thus the reason for today's show, coupled with something that we discussed behind the scenes before we aired.
Right.
And y'all know what that is.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's what actually inspired today's show. So yes, I'm in agreement with y'all when it comes to the government part of it. But all of it ain't the government.
No.
Yeah.
All of it ain't the government.
It's the people themselves. Like I say, a lot of them, they don't want to research nothing about nothing. So they behind the scenes on all kind of news. They see stuff go on around them. The neighborhoods, you see more killing, black on black crime. You see more of that. The people just generally don't care. And I think the reason why is because they don't feel like they can change it. And as long as we feel as if we can't change it, we won't change it. So that's where we need to wake up and understand that there's changes that we can make, but we all have to understand each other. We all have to communicate with each other. We all have to be on the same page. We all have to say, you know what, this is it. This is when this shit stops. We move forward from here. We all have to say, not just the 1,500 of us or wherever that, speak on, blacks changing.
That's part of the issue, getting the masses to
listen,
move as one.
To move as one. They gotta listen first.
I was gonna say, damn. Okay.
So, Slash, you touched on something that I actually have on my list. When you use the word research. well, I don't have it listed like that on my list, but it's
Right.
it's equivalent
to
to what I have on my list, and that is lack of education.
Yeah, number one.
The lack of education is why some black people remain unconscious to what's going on. Now, K Money, did you think about what you
I
wanted to
remember
say?
my thought. And I think another reason is, and it's tying into what I said earlier when I said that the ignorant part, and I feel that we get comfortable where we at it and just don't want to progress in regards to things that definitely will affect us.
Complacent.
Yeah, complacent. We get complacent and just, leave it at that.
Okay, and you, go
Amen.
ahead.
And like you said, lack of education. I had this show, I think maybe a year or two back, and I talked about things that they should teach us in schools about taxes and about doing your taxes, about buying houses and all that stuff. And I said, I can't remember what I said we should call that class, but I was just watching a football podcast. This is a football podcast, and this guy brought up the same point. He said, man, people getting these $250,000 checks and bonuses, and they go and buy these rings and watches and don't know nothing about the IRS. They don't know nothing because they was never taught that. And even he agreed. He said, man, they never taught me about the IRS when I was going to school. Ain't nobody saying nothing. So the lack of education, being educated about the IRS, about stuff like that. Yeah, you're right. It's the education that we just don't know.
It's definitely It's definitely about the education. You gotta know. You gotta understand some portion of it in order to change anything.
Mm-hmm. So we're in agreement that part of the reason why the black community, a lot of us in the black community, are not woke, we're still unconscious, is because of lack of education.
Mm-hmm.
What about fear of failure? Do you think they would think that?
We need to get out of that.
Yeah.
The fear of failure, because guess what? As a community, we've already failed. And if we keep sitting here talking about we gonna fail, hell, we already failed.
Yeah, they being selective if they consider
You know what I'm
it
saying?
a failure, because I'm sure they're failing at other shit that it's not an issue. So why if growth, something that will cause you to grow,
Why would you fail? Or
why failing at even trying though
Right.
would deter you from wanting to proceed, so to speak.
Yeah, because we already failing. We don't need to fall to, I'm scared we gonna fail. Hell, we already
It's
failed.
part of life.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
As a community.
What about the reason why black folks are not woke is because of their upbringing?
Yes, I agree with that too.
I'll say yes. I'm going to say yes, but the reason why I'm saying yes, I'm going to explain why I say yes. Because of the era or generation that they were born under. See, like my grandchildren are born under a completely different generation than ours. And I still believe that my generation or the one after us was the realest, the last of the, best generations of knowledge and knowing.
So okay, so just to make sure I'm following you, because you're on something. Just to make sure I'm following you, you're using generation. If you can go from the 40s, and I know you wasn't born then, but if you go from the 40s to the 2000s, which one of those generations, as you go through the years, and if you can name these years, would you consider these more woke individuals during those generations?
70s,
60s, 70s.
70s,
Say 70s?
no doubt 70s.
You know what? I'm in agreement. I was thinking that. I'm in
70s.
agreement.
And that's our generation.
So
I know. That's why I said 60s, 70s.
So here's the thing.
Not 60s.
So, what do you got?
I agree with the 70s, man. And I feel like the 70s generation also is the one that has done. Well, I don't want to get off track here, but you just saw a lot of things where people were able to where they expressed what they felt back in that generation.
They weren't afraid.
Let me go back and say, you're right, 70s. 60s, they were starting to be woke. That's why
They wasn't afraid in the 70s.
Yes.
Some of the 60s, they had rules that kept them from. They were still fighting black folks off with water hoses.
So check this out. So check
That's
this
why
out.
I said they were started.
If you go back into the late 50s and all of the 60s, right? We know that that's the civil rights movement in the 60s, right? Wouldn't you think those people were woke in order to, for the peoples in the 70s to be able to even do what they're doing, to get certain laws
Right.
passed?
It took them.
Because you got to think about the Black Panthers, right? And when you saw them with these guns on City Hall, standing there, and they couldn't be moved because they had the right to bear arms, right?
Whoa.
And
That was the 60s, right?
no, 70s.
70s,
Now check this out. The reason why they were able to stand there with those weapons is because of the people in the 60s.
Right.
To get the civil rights to be able to bear arms, because if you had caught a black man prior to that, shoot on sight.
Well, that's why it was more fear in the 60s, because that wasn't happening in the 70s. The 70s, they stand, like you say, stand on, okay, you shoot us if you want to.
So
We on your ass.
So now I'm not to say what was more fear or not, but I am with you on the 70s. But I can't exclude the 60s because
Right.
they didn't
they was
have
woke.
rights, and they were woke enough to say we need to get some of what's due to us.
Right.
And so
I agree.
we ain't got no guns. We gonna go fight. Period.
Yeah, they sacrificed.
And we're gonna
I
take
agree with
ass whoopings. We're gonna take
They
water
took a lot.
holes
That's why they
because
made
we
it.
know what's going on.
Yeah.
We know that this is not gonna be good for us in the future because we can see it. And the reason why we can see it is because our third eye is open.
I'm glad they done it.
And but their sacrifices is
Yeah.
what allowed
The
history
70s
to
to
kind
be
of
what it
change
was,
to where
right.
in the 70s they were able to do
Yeah.
those things.
So,
because in the 70s we were
Yeah.
fed up.
Yeah,
They
Pretty
did.
much, yeah.
Okay, so again, which brings me back to the initial question. Could it be some of the people are asleep because of their upbringing?
I can't agree with the upbringing. Not in 2025. I don't think we can
Not in the
utilize that
southern
excuse
states anyway.
anymore.
Not in the southern states. If you was raised in the southern states where it was a lot of slavery, it's no reason for you to not understand or be woke because you was raised around slavery. I'm sure your parents.
Ding, 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 slash.
You still see little residues nowadays in them southern
you
states.
still see it right now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
You
I
pulled
know
out
for
some
a fact.
Louis and
Yeah.
some Gucci.
Hey, man.
Slash.
We not
That's
going to New
what
York,
I
though.
was looking for.
Yeah, that's real
Because everybody needs southern states. There's no excuse
There's
for
no
you
excuse.
not to be
That's right.
woke
Yeah.
as a black man or a black
shit.
woman.
You better be woke.
Yeah.
You better be woke to what's going on.
Straight up.
Slash, good job, man.
Hey,
You
that's
dug
what-
into that bag,
man, because that's
what I'm talking about.
But that's where I come from. I'm like, shit, man. If you in the southern state, you better know, because it's still a little bit of go on. We see it.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Still see some of them flags.
Okay, now here's one that I think we kind of talked about it. We alluded to it without actually saying the word.
Okay.
Part of the reason why black folks are not woke is because they lazy.
Yeah, that too.
Mm-hmm.
And that goes back to not wanting to do the education
Yeah.
or the research.
Yeah.
They're lazy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now, why are we the only race to have to teach their community about being woke? You don't hear white folks saying in their community saying that y'all gotta wake up. You don't hear Asians saying y'all gotta wake up.
I think it goes back to something I said earlier in the show in regards to them being complacent. And very early on in the show when it started out, we were mentioning the government, and I think a lot of the blacks that are complacent are the ones that are being taken care of by the government. So, again, they've gotten complacent, and they see that the less they have to do, they still gonna be able to move around and take care of whatever needs to be taken care of, and they're not interested in growing any further than from what they are around.
So, okay, I'm following. Just to make sure we're on the same page. Why are our race, our community, the only community that has to tell their community to wake up?
because I can answer that. I feel like the reason why our community, the black community, has to do it because of why we're here in America. Number one, the Orientals, Chinese people, Indian people, they come over here to get money to start businesses.
Yes.
We've been over here fighting for this shit and building shit for everybody else, and they ain't gave us nothing.
And can't get a cool cup.
So that's why we gotta say, hey, stay woke, because they don't want us to have nothing already.
I don't think the question should be why is it our only community? What was it? Why our only?
Yeah. Why are? Okay, so
Why is it only?
do you
my question
hear
is-
when you hear? Let me put it to you this way: when you hear "stay woke," do you only do that only applies to the black community? You only hear that in the black community. Now, when the Trump administration say that all of this woke talk is rhetoric for the most part, because it actually comes out of their mouth,
Yeah.
and they actually use the word
They
woke.
use it, yeah.
What community do you think they're targeting when they say that?
It's definitely, I feel, it's the African American.
So if they're targeting the African American community, that means that we're the community that's telling each other to stay woke. Why is it that it's our community that has to say that versus the Asian community, the Caucasian community, the Jewish community, or whatever?
Yeah, because
It's our community.
Because
Why
they're not
is that?
treated the way we are. They treat it differently than we are. You know, and like I said before, when they came to this country, the people get them money to start businesses. When we came to this country, we was chained.
Ding, 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 ding.
You know what I'm saying?
Slash. You hit it again.
You know what I mean? So
For the listeners, man, every time I say ding, 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 I be looking to see who's actually saying what I have on my list for the most part. And last, that's slash, lash. Slash. That's number one on my list. However, I worded it a little differently.
right.
Yeah.
The reason why we got to tell the black community to stay woke is because in some way, shape, or form, we actually feel jacked up about our ancestors
Right.
and how they got here.
Animosity.
Exactly.
This is how our ancestors got here. We, just because we got rights today and we're able to do way more than our ancestors 400 years ago are able to do, don't forget
Yeah.
what these people did
To us.
and
right.
the people who are here today, their ancestors did it.
Did it. Yeah.
And some of them has taken on some of the practice of their ancestors.
That's
Just
right.
like we've taken on some of the teaching
As
of our
ancestors.
people.
That's
And some
correct.
of us have taken on the teaching of our people who eye was open, the third eye.
Right,
So
right,
some of us, we actually know because of what we were taught and how we were taught.
Right.
Slash, you hit it when you said the southern states.
Yeah.
Because that's where I'm at.
Yeah.
So you actually hit it.
Yeah. It's about the.
You
southern
actually
states.
hit it. And so now I'm not excluding
The north,
other state in the
but-
north
because they had it up there.
Yeah. We flee
Yeah,
up there.
that way.
So you actually hit it, Slash. But yes, now also, I believe our community actually have to be the community to tell each other to stay woke because of the laws and the way that the laws are created,
Right.
and they're created to make things harder for us.
Right.
So we know not to get caught up in the bullshit,
Right.
because you know if you get caught up selling this crack in your own community to your own people, they still gonna give you way more years than they get at white
Because
boy.
guess what? They put it out here to put you in.
You
there.
understand what I'm saying? So not only are you pausing in your community, and I know, well, let me put it this way: not only are you pausing in your own community, you're selling it to your people,
Yeah.
and you're gonna get the most time.
Yeah.
So black men, stay woke. Don't touch that shit.
Don't touch.
Man, you know, the more and more I listen to this, listeners, if you're not here, but if you could see Freddie G and Slash over here, they are really passionate about this topic. So along with K Money and myself, not more than these two though, but I'm thinking about a poem, and I hope this is not your black fact. I hope it's not your black fact.
Trust me, it's not.
It's not. Okay.
It is not.
Well, here's a poem by James Baldwin, And that poem says, to be black and angry in America is to be woke.
Yeah.
And it's coming to fruition just listening to y'all. I'm like, man, all this situation, this kind of making me mad, but I don't want to get mad. But
It makes you understand.
the actuality of it is, you supposed to get mad. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
You're supposed to get mad.
It should upset you.
Here's the thing. It's okay to be mad,
Yeah.
but you can be mad with controlled emotion.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's okay to be mad, and you should be.
Yeah.
And I'm familiar with that, by the way, by
Yeah.
James Baldwin.
Yeah.
I'm familiar.
Oh,
with
you
that.
familiar?
Yeah. So now there are some people with the third eye, but they've chosen to put a patch over it. Why do y'all think that the person with a third eye will choose to put a patch over it?
Because whatever he's patching, the fact of him closing that third
Him
eye,
or her,
so that they can put money in their pocket. It's obviously about the job that they do.
Ding,
or the
ding,
financial
ding, ding, ding.
situation.
Slash.
Why they'll cover that eye.
Now, to my listeners, bro, my listeners don't know that I got a laptop here, and I'm gonna be honest. The way you're positioned, I don't think you can see it. I don't think you can. But boy, I know I really don't think you can. But boy, I'm telling you, you hitting the nail on the head.
So
Money
for financial gain.
Yeah, people will put a patch over their eye, over that third eye, knowing I shouldn't take this money from these crooked folks.
Because they want to feed their family.
Exactly.
Because I'm gonna put this.
Now, they gotta feed their family.
Yeah.
Yeah, but here's the thing, though. No, I know I feel you, but I'm sorry, I gotta cut you off.
Yeah.
That's fine. I know you gotta feed your family, but at what cost? See, here's the thing. Let me show you something. I know somebody personally that did. Now, this ain't got nothing to do with selling out his race or whatever the case may be, right? And this may be comparing apples to oranges. And this is all in regards to feeding your family. I know somebody personally that went out, had a job, and went out and chose to rob banks, several banks. All in the name of putting food on the table and paying bills and doing whatever, right? And lost their freedom. Now check this out. That joker was woke, but that joker put a patch over his eye.
Right. To get that money.
To go sell out to get that money.
Right.
So oftentimes we be thinking that we'll sell out. Oh, I'm gonna do this because my family need to eat, so I'm gonna take this money from this white man. But I know this got blood on it, blood money, or I know he want me to do something against my people to do this, so, and I gotta do something against my people. But at what cost?
Right.
Are you willing
to take
the risk? Because at the end of the day, there's a good chance if you take that bread, you gonna end up losing in the long run.
I'm losing.
Of course.
Now I know that instance was comparing apples to oranges in regards to today's topic, right? But I wanted to mention that because you said feed your family, and sometimes you can be a person that's woke with a third eye, and you can choose to put that goddamn patch over your eye.
You got to feed your family
when you know better. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now that's the only reason that you get. That's an excuse. I'll give you a pass if you know. Okay, hey, I gotta feed my family. I know da. But how long? You know this shit now, and you know this. You taking this is gonna backfire. What you need to do is set yourself up to get away from this situation if you're gonna accept it. If not, then you still hurting us as a culture of people. For if you're gonna just continue to do it the rest of your life. You know what I mean? And let's just say it's in a government world.
I mean, that ain't really no different than, the crack that's being sold. Hell, we know how dangerous it is and what it's doing to our people, but ain't no motherfucker stopping selling it.
Stop selling it.
Because they want that financial gain.
Or any drug, for that matter.
Yeah, and I know it's a lot of niggas in the street that have that third eye.
Yeah.
So I'm sure. in this situation, they have that patch over.
Okay, now, before I get to my black fact, man, I want to say this. Y'all may recall at the top of the show, I said, at some point in time, all black folks will get their notification. Well, that notification is called a nigga wake-up call. And it can actually come directly or indirectly. So black folks, open your third eye and stay woke. Now, today's black fact are 4 people who need to wake up, in my opinion. Now, there's still a glimmer of hopes for one of these people. So, the first person is Stacey Dash. I quote, she said she believed Black History Month shouldn't exist. The second person on my list is Kanye West. He said he believes that slavery was a choice. The third person on my list is Candace Owens. She described Juneteenth as so ghetto and made up, and criticized people who celebrate it. Now, this last person, I think this person, there's still a glimmer of hope for this person. The other 3, they're gone. Ain't no hope for them.
Yeah.
But this last person, I think that there's a glimmer of hope for him. I hope so. That third person is Lil Wayne. Said he never experienced racism and doesn't believe it exists. This concludes another dope episode of Black Friday. Tune in next week for Music Monday. Don't forget to follow us on X, formerly known as Twitter, at 52 Scott Podcast, on Instagram and Facebook, the 52 Scott Podcast, and for all my YouTubers, don't forget to like and subscribe.
So all them artificial man